hola, bienvenidos. Welcome back to Studio 52. Les habla here with you. The one part of Studio 52, the 50%. Here's Coral. I'm sitting here with the amazing Sinoe, the second part of 52. I want to say hi, everybody.
Hi again, everybody. Yes, we're here with the Richie T, the legend
Hey.
himself of podcasting, straight out of here in South Texas. So
Legend. Wow.
the
You're a
legend, yeah,
legend.
he's the
Everybody
legend,
just
dude.
welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome, RTP in the house.
All right.
All the way from San Antonio. Thank you
Yep.
so much.
Just down the road a
man.
little bit.
Just down the road. San Antonio loves you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yes, we are so honored. We're truly honored to have you here today.
I appreciate it.
Has been a dream of
Yeah.
yours truly
Thank you.
to
I
have you
appreciate
over.
it.
So
Appreciate y'all. Appreciate the hospitality once again. And I'm stoked to be here as well. Let's do it.
let's do it. Let's do it. So Richard T describes himself as a metal guy, a dad, and a podcaster. Now we're here today because you are the one that paved the way for the metal scene, the metal family podcasting. You've inspired a lot of people, including yours truly. So I want to know, where did this come from? How'd you get started?
I got started with a friend of mine named Ryan Castellucci. He's no longer with us. Miss you, buddy. He had a podcast of his own out in Arizona called the Two Stone Dudes Podcast. And again,
Yeah.
legalize it,
Self-explanatory.
Self-explanatory, right? So he just basically invited me onto his show, and we got to talking about Texas stuff. What was I doing at the moment? I told him I was drinking a beer under an oak tree, and at that time. So we did that show. I did that show, and I got to talking with another buddy of mine named Mark Maldonado. What's up, bud? And we got to talking about it and everything. He's like, and I was like, dude, we can do something like this. We
Right.
can do something like that. And so me and Mark, we decided to call our podcast the Man Cave Podcast,
Hey.
and we talked about sports, music, guy stuff. What our wives were doing to us that week, kind of thing. We just vented,
Men cave stuff.
man cave stuff, and we invited all of our friends on there. We had a couple, I had my cousin come on, and our good friend Joe Leal. He lives out in Austin. He came out, and we dedicated his segments, and we called it the Cup of Joe segment, like coffee,
I like it.
Yeah.
So so that was a good time and everything, and we did a few shows, but Mark he couldn't commit to a lot of the time that goes into making the podcast every week because he has a job which requires him to travel and to be out of state away from his family, and he can't be at his house all the time to record. So eventually he just told me, he's like, hey dude, I know you want to do your music thing, so just go ahead and just take over the show and call it whatever you want and go with it and
Yeah.
just go with it. And I'm like, okay, cool. And so after a couple of weeks of being silent and trying to brainstorm what I wanted to do, the only thing, like I said, like you said, music has always been a part of my life, and I've always wanted to talk about it and play music and like a radio DJ, and so the Richie T podcast was formed, and back then my shows weren't but 30 minutes, 45 minutes long. Played a few songs in between me talking about concerts coming or my top 10 drummers of all time, guitar
Right.
players, whatever, just making up stuff as I went along, right? But eventually I got pretty stagnant with a lot of that stuff, and so I got to talking with a friend of mine, Anna Laura, and she has her own production company called Imminent Productivity out of North Texas, and she does a lot of bookings with a lot of bands and stuff, and she knows a lot of bands that she's friends with, and she told me, she asked me one day, she's like, have you ever thought about interviewing bands? I'm like, no, because I don't know how to do it. So I wouldn't know the first thing or the first things to ask. I wouldn't know. But yeah, just I can hook you up with this so and so band and everything, and we can. They were called Macabre Eternal at the time. They were my first band interview. From up north. So They were my first ever band interview. Shout out, guys. What's up?
Hey.
And so we got together. We did a phone interview, and I just but before all that, I had to brainstorm questions, put them down on paper, and it just came naturally to me what I wanted to ask. So we that was a good time, and then 2.5 years later, here we are, still doing the same thing and asking the same questions and getting to know all the bands that I interview. It's been a blessing.
I think you can do it in your sleep.
Yeah,
I've
pretty
seen
much.
you in action.
Pretty much.
And you make everybody feel so welcoming.
Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah, and I try to make it as welcoming as I can. Not to take it too serious. Just have fun. That's what it is for me. It's fun. It's a fun hobby that I do, and hopefully it'll pay the bills one day. But but no, I just keep it as simple as I can. I don't try to overthink too much of it. Because every show I have to write out a script, and an outline to what song goes here, what interview goes where, and I can do it, in my sleep now, like you said. So it's pretty much a given, and that reminds me, I'm probably going to do one tonight or tomorrow, after work, and just get it out, and then I'll probably have it out within an hour or so.
That's how long
it doesn't
takes
take. It doesn't take long for me to put it together and put the format together and stuff. So, but it takes me a little longer to get interviews lined up and all that good stuff. But other than that, it's like I said, I can do it like you said, I can do it in my sleep.
In
your
sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're good.
Right.
So I had the pleasure of following you around when I first got interested, and I have a small confession to make. You are the reason that Cinco Dos is Cinco Dos today for podcasts and music, and you truly are very inspiring.
I appreciate that.
And you made it seem like anybody can do this.
Well, anybody can. I mean, my buddy gave me that. I mean, my buddy Ryan. He did it, on his own, and he got started, and it was pretty simple, and he sold me on it, and I got to doing it, and my buddy got to doing it, and it's that easy. You can do it if you have the time, and you got something that you want to talk about, and you want to, put your expression on it. By all means, go for it. I mean, I'm here to. This encourages me as well. So so I'm happy that you're doing this, and I'm happy that somebody finally took my advice.
Hey, somebody's actually listening.
Somebody's actually listening to me.
So you paved the way. You were the pioneer.
So
in this metal family, and that.
Yeah.
No, I mean you are. You made it easier for the newcomers, right?
Right.
But you have something that you can't learn, that you can't copy. That's you're extremely humble. You're a very humble person. You make everybody around you feel at ease and comfortable. And I saw that when you were in action.
Right.
And that's a gift.
Yeah, I try to. This we were talking before, I try not to make this about me. This isn't about me. It may have my name on it. I may have a logo. I may have shirts. I may have all these things. But what the show is actually about is about bands working hard and trying to make a name for themselves.
Right.
All I'm doing is getting to know you, the band, and pressing the record button so you can let people know who you are. I'm just the recorder, I'm the machine that records. So, I'm the guy doing this, so, and that's all I'm doing. And if, if people want to say, it's because of you or whatever that we're known, I'm like, no, dude, it's because of y'all. People are going to know you. It's not about me. It's about you. And I'm just here to help you. I'm not here to make money off the thing. I'm not here to take the glory from you. None of that. I'm here to you said pave the way. I'm paving the way for you guys. This is the first little gravel step in y'all's road to get fame. Not fame. Well, famous, yes, but to get known, to be asked to play places, to be, a household name eventually. I was the little pebble on that paved road that you go on. So that's the humbling part for me. So this isn't, like I said, it's not about me. It's about y'all. about the bands.
And you show the same respect to a band that's just started, as well as the band
Right.
that has over thousands of followers. Saving Jackie, for
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
You are just as amazing with each one of the bands and each band member.
Yeah. I you know, what, it doesn't matter how many likes and follows that a person or a band has. You know,
Right.
you could be. I've interviewed bands that are just coming out, not even together 6 months. You know,
Right.
compared to Saving Jackie, that's been around 20 some odd years.
Right.
You know, they started off as Jackie on Acid back in the day, and you know, and if you heard the interview, you know, they took a break for a little while, and now they're back. You know, so and they have a lot of miles on themselves. So. And along with some other bands I can mention too, Even in Death and Anger Kill, and you know, all these bands that have been around here in San Antonio and all over. And but I mean, that's great and all, but I'd like to know the band that's, you know, just coming out of the garage, you know, and learning their craft, and they have that little demo out there or that little thing on Spotify that they want people to hear. So I'm here to help with that too. So
that's you. That is you all the way through and through. Now, we've got a little something in common. We have our amazing Frankie Diaz de Leon, that love that we share for the boy. He's now in heaven watching and blessing us. I know he's blessing us.
today.
Probably
laughing his ass off.
Probably, because man, he had the most contagious smile.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Didn't he? Oh my gosh! And I had the pleasure of hearing your testimony about Frankie. We all have stories about Frankie and why he was so touching, but yours, there wasn't a dry eye in that church at that funeral service. But it was incredibly touching.
Yeah, I just spoke the truth on how he was, and Frankie, you know, he was going through a lot at that time, and so was I at that time, and I needed a place to stay, you know, and the first time he told me to come and stay with him, he was at the hospital. You know, he was getting, you know, treatment and whatever, and he reached out to me. He's like, "Hey, bro, you got a place to go?" No.
And he's at the hospital.
Yeah, well, I'm at the hospital, man. If you want to come and crash with me tonight, you know, we can, and I can say you're my brother. I'm like, okay. So yeah, and I kind of look like David a little bit too. So
you kind of do actually.
Except for this, but you know, but yeah. So he invited me to go and stay with him at the hospital, and we just, you know, sat up talking all night, you know, pretty much, and watching TV and just hanging out, listening, you know, just listening to each other talk, and you know, he was always adamant about, I want to get better, man. I want to play drums again. I want to, you know, dude, you're going, you know, I just kept encouraging him to fight and to be aware of that, you know, and to let him know that, you know, he's got support, and I'm here to support him just as much as he was supporting me. And he encouraged me a lot too. So yeah, that was the first night that I stayed. And then, the second time, I actually stayed at his house, and like I said, we were two 40-year-old guys having a slumber party, you know, and you know, and we had a good time, man. We were, you know, we had a couple of drinks, and we just talked about life and about what was going on, and you know, met his family, met his mom and dad and his daughter, and yeah, I mean, they welcomed me in. You know, we, you know, just had like I said, we were like two kids having a slumber party and having a good time, and you know, and he told me, he's like, "Hey, dude, if you ever need anything, just let me know." And I said, "I'll let you know, bro." And unfortunately, his, you know, situation got worse, and I didn't want to, you know, impose on what he was going through, so you know, I checked in on him every now and again, you know, just to let him know that I was doing well, and I was thinking about him, and it's like, "Hey, dude, I'm happy for you. I'm see that you're getting your life together again, and you know, taking the right steps to do that." And he was happy for me, and the only thing I didn't get a chance to do was visit him toward the end, and I wish I got that time back, but I know it was more important for his family to be there.
Sure.
So. But I was there, you know, in his heart, and he was in my heart too. So, I miss him. I miss him every day, and I'm glad that, you know, the Frank Fest happened, and I got to do my thing with Even in Death and the other bands that were there, and see you there, and got to see his brother perform, play some Anger Kill songs, warmed my heart to no end. And I try to, at least, with me and my show, I try to at least play, and the one thing to go back a little bit, Frank will always be remembered through his music.
Right.
And I'm sure there's more recordings of him in other bands out there, but the only two bands that I do play from him is Anger Kill and Even in Death.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to at least, I don't get to it all the time, but when I do, I make sure it's at the beginning of my show, at some point, in the songs, and so people can know and remember who he was and
Yes.
and the person that I know was a loving, caring father, brother, uncle, bandmate, friend, especially, and he's going to be remembered for a very long time through his music and through the other people's stories and other people that know him, and yeah, we miss him every day.
Love, baby.
Love you, Frankie.
He lives on. His essence, his energy is still very much alive. Through this interview, through wherever he comes up, Frankie still lives on.
Oh yeah, he's not going anywhere.
He's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. And in fact, part of what you do, and you'd hope us as podcasters, but especially you that have done this for almost 4 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
You'd hope that one band that maybe just came out a few months ago makes it so big, right? Makes it so big.
Yeah.
And shines so bright.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hope that with every band that I interview.
Right.
But and there are a few bands that I've interviewed that are on their way.
Right.
And that are touring with major bands and opening up for major bands, and I'm just so stoked and happy to see that happening for them,
Yes.
and like I said, this whole thing is not about me. It's about them, and I push them, and I try to advertise as much as I can for them. When they're in town, I go and talk to them again,
Yes.
Be there to support. And that's the important thing about this whole metal scene and metal family, is the support that each and every one of us gives to them, because they're the ones working hard. They're the ones working their 9 to 5s, practicing in a garage or a shed or whatever they're doing, writing songs, traveling to gigs, getting paid jack shit, So, and we have to be there to buy their merch and support them and to be, to let them know that we're here for you, and that's what I try to do with my podcast is be there for them and wish them the best luck in the world, and they have a fan in me, and that's not going anywhere. So,
Absolutely.
So that's the reason why I do it.
Thank you for sharing that. The most memorable interview you've had, the one that sticks out in your mind.
Most memorable. Well, they're all pretty memorable, but I think he asked me the same question earlier.
Yeah, some of these most memorable bands, or maybe like somebody who you wouldn't mind like going back and talking to again.
Well, my favorite one that we had talked about earlier, was the first time I met Frankie in Anger Kill. That was the first time, because I had met David before, and I think I shared this before. I had met David prior to Frankie at a show at Bonds, and I interviewed David just on a quick whim, because I just barely met him, and Skull Zapata from Decimate. What's up, brother? He introduced me to him because he was there watching a band, and he's like, dude, you need to go interview David, and he's in a band called Anger Kill, and he's like, they're like legends around here. I'm like, oh, cool. Okay, so yeah. So he introduced me to David, and David and I got to talking, and I interviewed him. It was like a quick 6-minute video interview at the time, and got to know David, and he talked about Frankie coming back to the band, and basically, we're starting over, and you should meet my brother Frankie. He's a badass drummer. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool, yeah. And then I found Frankie on Facebook, and I introduced myself, and we got the messages here and there. But the most thing I remember the most from that interview was the very first moment I met Frankie.
Huh.
He pulled up in his truck, got off, and I was waiting outside, just having a cigarette, I think, and just just waiting there, and he's like, Richie, Frankie, hey, what's up, man? He hugged me, and he's like we've been friends for years, and stuff, and we're like, ready for tonight, man? Yeah, man, we're pumped and we're ready, and and then saw them perform, and after the show, it was just a great interview, and that was I think that's the most one that I remember the most, but uh, with just meeting Frankie and meeting the rest of the Vanguard Kill at the time, and got to know them and be friends with them throughout the last couple of years, and like I said, all the bands that I've interviewed, they're all special to me. Um, my first interview with Macabre Eternal from the DFW area, those guys were just crazy guys, and I got to interview them again a couple years. Last year, yes, a year and a half ago, and I got to interview them again. But this time we were doing it in the hotel room where they were performing there in San Marcos, and it turned out that I was staying in the same hotel as they were.
What?
Dang.
And,
It all falls into place.
and that was just bad things that happened after that. But but no, and we were like, I was going to interview them there at the show, but Brad, the singer, he was like, well, hey man, we're both staying at the same hotel. Let's just get together at the hotel room and just record it there. I'm like, okay.
Easy peasy.
Yeah, and we had a lot of fun with that and doing those guys again, and that was a fun time, and interviewing. There's, like I said, there's all the interviews that I've had. They're all special with me, and very memorable, and good thing I have pictures to see some of these, and but most importantly to hear the recordings back from time to time. It's always, oh yeah, I remember that, and yeah, and where we were at that point, and so it's always a good to and not to sound all egotistical, like I need to hear my own voice or whatever, but I go back and listen to it, and it just brings back a lot of fun times, fun memories, and I can share these stories with you and with anybody listening, and it's fun. It's fun to go back and revisit it every now and again. Matter of fact, when I was driving over here, I was listening to the Saving Jackie one just on the way here, and I was like, oh yeah, that was fun.
That was a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
it takes you back to the moment.
Yeah, it takes me back to the moment,
Yeah.
and how much fun I'm having, and it's basically a reminder to because sometimes I do get down on myself, and sometimes I feel you know like I'm not doing enough, and but then when I hear them talking and having fun, that reminds me, like, okay, you're doing okay,
doing
man.
great.
You're doing great, man.
Yeah.
Don't stress about
You're
it too
doing
much.
great.
So that's pretty much the gist there.
Right on. I guess going through that a bit more, like who would you say would be some of your dream interviews? Like if you had the pick of them all, who do you think that would be?
Oh wow. Oh man, I'd love one day. I don't know if it'll happen, but Metallica is always up there.
Ooh.
Right on.
Those are my guys. Those are my heroes. Lars especially. When I first started drumming, I as all kids are in their preteens or whatever, there I am with a couple of drumsticks, air drumming to Lars's Injustice for All, Metallica's
Ooh.
Injustice for All album, and learning how to play these songs on, not with a drum kit in front of me, but just air drumming. That's how I started. And eventually, when I got on a real drum kit, I didn't sound anything like Lars whatsoever. So, but Lars was always, and everybody rags on him and he's not a good drummer and this and that. Well, the dude's been doing it for 40 years. You talk to me when you reach that
Right.
level of success, and then I'll make time for you. But, but Lars was always a big influence, and I'd love to interview him just by himself, and talk to him and James Hetfield, because those two guys started the whole Metallica thing. And I'd love to interview James and Lars for sure. That's like up there, top tier bucket list, kind of stuff, And don't get me wrong, I'd love to interview a lot of other bands from my childhood, Anthrax, uh, Exodus, AC/DC if I had a chance, Guns N' Roses even. I'd interview Slash, Axl, Duff. Man, there's so many. but yeah, those would be like my bucket list kind of interviews I would like to do. But but for me, I think anybody that I've interviewed on my show is pretty much up there for me because they're doing something that I didn't that wasn't that I didn't succeed at because I started off as a musician too, and I played drums, and my band didn't get nowhere. I mean, we got we played in front of our friends in the jam room, but we never made that commitment. And plus, we were young
Right.
and dumb and stupid at the time too, so we didn't get very far, and our equipment wasn't up to par, or at least mine wasn't, so but like I told you before, I live vicariously through all these bands, and they're all up there for me.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah.
Right on.
Thank you for sharing. Though, if you ever need anybody to hold a microphone while you're interviewing all those bands you just mentioned, I'm your girl.
Yeah, yeah.
I will hold that phone. I will hold that mic. I'll do a good
Just hold the
job.
questions in front of me
Yeah,
like
yeah. Be like,
this.
I'm with him. I'm with our TP. Take me in.
Yeah, you're on the payroll.
I'm on the payroll,
And
baby.
I don't pay, and it doesn't. It's not a good paying job either. Because I don't get paid.
Yeah, I will do it for free. I'll do that
Okay,
one for
perfect.
free. 100%.
Perfect.
100%. So I know you have a little girl.
Hmm.
So I had the pleasure of seeing the photos of your vacation.
Right.
She's just the most adorable. But
Mhm.
is she into podcasting? Is she into creating? Tell me.
Oh, she's into creating quite a bit. She loves to sing and dance. She wants to take musical theater this year. She's done dance before. She had a dance recital recently. Um, yeah, she's pretty much a video creator. She likes to mess with YouTube shorts and stuff, and she makes these little films, and she dances in front of the cameras and stuff at home, and from the phone, and she likes to create a lot of stuff, and she, dancing is part of that, and I did buy her a little guitar for Christmas last year, and she doesn't know the chords yet, but she just strums on it and
There you
makes up a
go.
song, and she's good. And I did ask her, would you ever want to do podcasting?
Right.
And she goes, maybe,
Hey,
maybe.
there is a light. There's a
Yeah,
light. There's a little
I'll
light
take it.
dangling in
I'll
front of
take
you.
it. But she's a part of it anyway. Every time you click on my show, the first voice you hear is my daughter welcoming you all to listening to welcome to the Richie T podcast or something like that. And that's her voice, and I recorded that when she was 5. So
So sweet.
and that's always going to be there. That's part of my show every
Right.
time. So. But yeah, I hope so. I hope she gets into it, one day. But if not, it's cool. Whatever she wants to do, I'm fully supportive of it, I'm there to support her and not to push her, and you know, um, I'm just there to be dad. And that's all
Right.
she knows me as, dad. So
Yeah, you're doing
yeah.
a great job of that. I can attest by the photos.
Yeah, I
She's
appreciate
having
that.
a great time. But yeah, I think your legacy should carry on.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
would love to see her one day
Yeah,
be a part of
I'd
it.
like to see it too. But I don't know if she would go into the metal thing. She's more of a hip hop dance
Ah,
kind of girl. So,
That's fair
she gets
enough.
she gets that from her mom, but it's all good.
Interesting though. Why metal? I mean, there are so many genres.
Well, metal for me, starting at a young age, I was when I first discovered metal, I was about 10 years old. Well, rock music really. It was about 1986, 87 when I heard Guns N' Roses for the first time, and Motley Crue, all the hair bands from back in the day in the 80s, and I had older cousins that would listen to it and stuff, and I wasn't really into it. I was listening to a lot of rap at the time and a lot of
Right.
hip hop and dance music too, but as I got older and situations, with my personal life, with my life started happening, and like with every young man, and especially in the town that I was living in, there's a lot of anger, and I just became, I was a very angry person back then. Even at that young age, I was starting to feel angry about a lot of things,
Yeah.
and then my buddy Orlando, he introduced me to Anthrax at the time, and they did a song called "I'm the Man," which is a blend of rap and metal together, and it's a funny song. It's a fun song, but I just fell in love with the guitar and the drums,
Mm.
and I was like, okay, cool, I can get into this. And then about weeks later, months later, I think Metallica came out with
Ooh.
"Injustice for All." 1988 came out, "Injustice for All" came out, and that's when I first saw the video for One, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Who are these guys? These guys sound amazing. They're, you know, the look of them back then was just menacing and angry, and I'm like, ooh,
That's it.
felt
Identified.
I can identify with these guys."
Yeah.
and then and then eventually it just started snowballing after that. I started listening to everything under the sun at that point, from Anthrax's older stuff. And when the newer albums started coming out, I started listening to those guys more. Megadeth, Slayer, Metallica, Exodus, all the thrash bands from the 80s that really made an impression on me, because they were really talking about and not only talking, but performing in a way that was angry and aggressive, but yet they were smiling at the same time.
Right.
And they were happy that they were doing it. And I identified with a lot of that. And I identified as a young, angry young man, that life was just, giving me the finger, and I needed an outlet, and that was my outlet. And metal, has been with me for all of my life, for the past, 35 going on 40 years of my life. And it's been there for the good times and the bad, and for the in the times that I don't talk about very often. But yeah, I mean, metal is just that outlet for me to. If I'm having a good day, I crank up metal. If I'm having a bad day, I crank up metal. If I'm pissed off about something, crank it up.
Metal it is.
Metal it is. It gets you through anything. But music, in general, doesn't matter if you're into Tejano or country
Right.
music or reggae or metal or whatever. As long as it makes you feel something, it makes you feel alive. It's music. That music is doing its job for you. And
Yes.
and for me, it's metal, because that makes me feel alive. That makes me feel I can feel every emotion under the sun, and walk away feeling better, and that's it.
Absolutely.
And if it, but with people, and people are very much, oh, well, that's the devil's music, and this and that, and this is it's not good for you. Well, I can name a lot of other music that's bad for you too, and they're not, and the
Yeah.
devil wasn't involved in that. So you can take that and shove it. So it's like that old country song, take the dove and shove it. So you
Yeah.
can take that opinion and shove it. So
Yeah, or take that to a small town.
yeah, exactly.
I'm being facetious in that one,
Yeah,
y'all. I'm
right.
being facetious.
Yeah,
Oh, let me check something real quick. Okay, small break. All right, so we're not too far from finishing,
Okay.
but it got really good. So I'm glad for
No,
For
that
the-
really
for the retake.
resonates. Even with me, as someone who listens to a lot of everything, it depends on your mood or whatever. But there are some certain genres that for me are just mainstays
Mhm.
in my rotation of music, and that I feel like if I didn't listen to them, maybe I'd be more upset with myself or something, dude. Because
Mhm.
they really bring me back to life. I don't know. It's like a soul healing almost
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah,
But
and that's kind of the thing that I'd like to, you know, I like to say too is, everybody's born, good and with a soul. That's good.
Mhm.
But, life happens and life goes on. We lose friends, we lose family members, we lose a job, we lose all kinds of things, right? Marriages, whatever. But the one thing that's always constant, I think, in life is what you listen to, what you eat, and what you watch on TV or whatever. Those are things that are not. I mean, they are what they are, but at the same time, each one of those things, speaks to you and speaks to your soul and speaks to what you like. Or it could be what books you read, what magazines you listen,
Right.
read. the news, whatever, but I always like to say that if you have a soul and you have things going that are good or bad, music is always going to be the constant reminder that you feel something. And like I said, metal has always made me feel something. It's always made me feel happy, sad, angry, uh, happy that I was sad, whatever. But it's always a good thing to make sure that your heart and your soul and especially your mental capacity and your mental health is aware of the fact that you love what you love and you love just to be where you are accepted and whatnot. So that's why I like going to metal shows. That's why I like hanging out with bands. That's why I like doing the things that I do. It's because it's healing for me. It's therapeutic. It's part of me.
I can dig it, man. I can really
And
dig
they love you back.
Yeah.
They love you back, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, music is universal.
Yeah.
I mean, there are songs in Spanish that you could play anywhere and they would know. People would recognize them, regardless of whether they can speak Spanish or not.
Right. I
And
agree.
So
I agree. There's a lot of music that speaks to me in all genres, really. With Selena, especially. Selena's one of them. George Strait is another one for me. Willie Nelson, Johnny Cash, especially country music. There's even some dance songs that I find myself tapping my foot. It's a good thing. And I always give my wife a hard time for that because she likes that techno stuff.
Oh, right on.
And we'd be driving somewhere and she would take over the radio and she'd put on that techno stuff and all that poof, 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 poof. I'd start stomping my foot like this, and this is the music, this is the beat, this is it, this is all you do. What's so special about this? And I start giving her a hard time about it. Well, it's better than that metal stuff. You can't even understand what they're saying. Well, that's the thing. You're not supposed to listen to the lyrics. You're listening to the music. All I'm hearing with yours, that's all I'm listening to. That's all I'm hearing. Mine is double that, and hear the guitar crunching. That's what drives me.
That's right. That's right. There's method to our madness.
Method to the madness.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, but yeah, there's music is universal, like you're saying, very much so.
It's very much universal. So you're gonna do something for us today. Now, in Mexico, it's called La Patadita de la Suerte.
Okay.
Meaning somebody that is following your footsteps. You would actually take your leg and just kick their behind.
Okay.
Just like so. Not too hard. We don't want to fall over.
No.
But it is called the good luck kick.
Okay.
So you're basically telling us, hey, good luck in your new journey. And because you've paved the way for us, because you've inspired me, because your humbleness and the love and the passion is so easily felt, I couldn't think of anybody better to do that.
I appreciate that.
So if you don't mind, we're going to stand up and you're just going to give the little kick.
All
and
right.
that is what we're going to do. So we're going to take off
All right.
our devices.
Okay.
And we'll start with my son.
I could go first. Yeah, I could go first.
Yeah, because he's closer to you.
Here we go.
All right.
A swift kick to send me on my way.
Okay, I got to get ready like an NFL punter here.
Oh, yeah. So it's a little tall,
All right. Here
Let me make sure that it's all getting captured, though, because you are taller. Oh, actually, it is perfect right there.
All right.
Perfect frame.
All right.
Ready?
1, 2, 3.
Hey!
Thank you.
That was from the man, the one and only,
Switch spots.
Mr. RTP, and now you get to do it to me.
All right.
And I will happily take it because I know it's for good luck.
All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Hey!
Right on.
And it's a hit.
There we go. Awesome. Very cool.
Thank you so much. We'll have a seat. Thank you.
Thank you.
There wasn't anybody better to do this than me, so I'm so honored. Doubly honored.
It was an honor for me kicking y'all's asses. That's for sure.
You just got kicked our asses. A huevo, as we say in Mexico. Well, Richard, it has been an absolute joy having you over tonight.
I appreciate the invite, and thank you all again. Appreciate it.
Would love to, hopefully this is the beginning of many more as we go through the
yeah.
years. We'll reminisce about our first. This is actually our second podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine how you felt the first time you did your first interview.
A lot like this. Very nervous, very excited, but in the end though, it was a great time, and that's the things that I take with me all the time. Each time it may be different, but it's the same feeling all the time. Just excited and happy to be there and happy to do what I do, and just to share it with everybody, and to be an inspiration to you, and that is very humbling to me. So it's very much it makes me feel good to know that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Muchas gracias.
Gracias.
Yes,
for
thank you very much.
for the ass kicking. For the love that you share, that you spread around, for loving each one of those bands, and for making them a priority. And it shows with everything that you do that they truly are. So that goes without saying.
That's awesome.
Well, this has been the second official episode of Studio 52. We are your hosts, Coral and Sinoe. And once again, man, a round of applause for you. Many more podcasts.
Yes, many more to come.
Look forward to hearing them. And thank you for tonight.
Thank you very much. It's been
And
fantastic.
familia, we are going, but we will see you for the next episode. Stay tuned. We've got a lot more things coming your way. This is just beginning. Rock on.
Rock and roll.
See you later.
Metal.
Bye.
Bye.